Welcome in everybody to the 2022 BC Buckets mock draft. I'm Matthew Brune here with Colin Mitchell, and today we're going to be taking you through the first 30 picks of the NBA draft and our predictions for them, but also kind of what we would do in these situations. So Colin has the odd numbers, I have the even numbers, and yeah, we're going to spend probably a minute and a half on every pick and kind of debate and talk about why we went that direction. So we hope you enjoy. We hope it's informational. And yeah, let's get into it. Colin, you ready to go?
Yeah, I just want to make one more thing clear. We can do trades as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure that that's
Yes.
known. All right, just want to make sure that's
Yes.
known. All right. I'm ready to go.
All right. Any before we start, any like overarching takeaways or anything from doing this draft prep?
Just that I'm gonna be the better GM here. That's
All
it.
right. Well, there you go. All right. That puts the Orlando Magic on the clock.
So I'm just gonna get right into this. The Orlando Magic select Paolo Banchero at a Duke University. This dude is my number one pick my number one guy on the big board. I think he adds a lot of what a lot of a guy that Chet Holmgren would bring, but I also think he has the athleticism to also be a defender in this league. And with that, I think his ceiling is higher. So here we go. I think the Orlando Magic get a really good playmaking forward, and yeah.
Wow. All right. Off rip, catching me off guard. I was not expecting that. I know you have number one on your board, but I was still kind of expecting
No.
you to go maybe a different direction. But there you go, Paulo Banchero first. I don't have a problem with it. I know I sent you a tweet that showed that he's been kind of rising up. I don't want to say rising up boards, but rising up in terms of what people think the Magic are going to do. I mean, for a long time, Jabari Smith was the guy, and now it looks like Paulo Banchero is going to give him a run for his money here. So at least adds a little interest for Thursday. We're recording this on a Monday, so we'll see how that shakes out. But I'm not mad at the pick. I'm not mad at the pick. They need a home run swing, and with their roster construction, they added Franz Wagner last year. You have Markel Fultz, Wendell Carter at center. You just need more playmakers. You need more talent. So I'm okay with that pick. Number 2, the Oklahoma City Thunder. My first pick here. I'm going with Chet Holmgren. And to me, it's pretty simple. I look at Chet's upside. Not only, I think offensively, he's very talented, but I think defensively, he can just be exactly what this team needs. I mean, you put him next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, Alexei Pokusevski, Josh Giddey, and I am very excited to see what he would do on that team, just with the rim protection that he adds, the shooting that he adds, the versatility he gives to this team. I'm not saying that this team's going to make a playoffs or anything, but it gives you a hell of a core to start with.
Yeah, I mean, I love that pick, and you mentioned me picking Paolo first for the Magic. I was actually debating him and Chet, but I think the reason why I picked him over Chet was just because Paolo can, I guess, have the ball in his hands more on the perimeter, whereas Chet's more of an interior guy, I think, and yeah, I don't think they necessarily need a center. So it was kind of a 1A, 1B thing for me, but I like that pick.
I think this is perfect for the Thunder. I mean, you look at
Yeah.
their front court, nobody's like they didn't have anybody. So at least you're getting, if nothing else, a high upside body at the 5 position. And there's a lot to be made of people. He's actually dropped down people's big boards as we've gone. Chet Holmgren has, and so
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he was the number 1 pick. And I think there's a chance he could fall to 3 if Oklahoma City doesn't take him. But I'm going to take him. If I was Oklahoma City, this would be a slam dunk for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Houston Rockets on the clock.
All right, with the third overall pick of the NBA draft, the Houston Rockets select Jabari Smith out of Auburn. Obviously, you said the Magic have been favorited to have him go number 1. I think that if Jabari falls to the Rockets in this draft, I think that it's going to be an amazing pick for them. They already have the, I guess, shooting guard / point guard, if you want to call him, and Jalen Green. They do miss out on Paolo, but they really need a power forward, and I think that he kind of will be a perfect player to put around Jalen, a guy that's more steady, and I think that's what they need on this team.
I feel like Houston wants to draft Paolo Banchero. I think this is like, I don't want to say it's worst case scenario, but because I think Jabari Smith's going to be really good, but it's just the feel for me is that Paolo Banchero fits this team better than Jabari Smith because of Jalen Green, and because Jalen Green is such like a shoot first type guy, and
Yeah.
Paolo Banchero's ability to create is a little bit more than Jabari Smith, whereas Jabari Smith's more of like a a shooter, finisher,
Right.
defender. I'm not saying it's a bad pick because it's the pick I would have made as well, but it's just it's going to be interesting to watch Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, kind of trade shots for a bit.
Yeah, I just think that obviously if you don't have Paolo or Chet or any of those creator guys up there, I just think that obviously if Jabari falls, you have to take him. But I almost think that it's almost a better pick than Paolo in the sense that, again, it steadies the ship. I think that Paolo is early is going to be almost like not out of control player, but he's going to try things. And I think as we talked about, Jabari has a really high floor, and I think that that's going to bode well. He plays defense. You don't have to get all the mental things out of the way that Houston as a team already has. And I think that would go well for them as a team.
Yep. All right. Fourth pick, Sacramento Kings. And Colin, I'm told we have a trade to announce. Hold on, my earpiece.
Yeah. What's the trade? What's the trade, Bruni?
All right. So it looks like the Detroit Pistons, Detroit basketball,
Mm-hmm.
have traded Jeremy Grant and the number 5 pick to the Sacramento Kings for the number 4 pick, Justin Holiday and Mo Harkless, along with some other filler.
Yeah.
Can you confirm that?
I can't as the Pistons guy, I can confirm that. And we'd like you to draft Jaden Ivey, number 4 for the Pistons, if that's all right. I guess I'll just go. Go ahead. Jaden Ivey, I have him number 2 on my big board. I think he's going to be an absolute star in this league. I think with him and Cade Cunningham is going to just do great things for him. And I think it's a perfect fit because he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands. Where I feel like if he goes to a Houston, if he goes to pretty much any other early team that doesn't really have a point guard, it's going to be a situation where he has to have the ball in his hands and he's not ready for that yet. So I think that this is a perfect marriage, so to speak. And I think he's going to blossom into a star.
I love this pick. This might be my favorite pick for the Pistons. Just to give the Pistons a 1-2 punch, but that's Ivy and Cunningham that are just 2 very different players, but can both really set up their teammates. Obviously, Ivy's not a great passer at this point, but I think he'll eventually get to that point with the spacing in the NBA. And obviously, there's a lot that Detroit needs to add around these 2, but I think you get these 2 and you just kind of say, all right, we have our backcourt of the future. And just go from there.
Yeah, and you mentioned backcourt of the future. These are 2 guys where you drafted Ivy and you have Cade. You don't go, oh yeah, this maybe will make a playoff game or playoff series in the future. It's going to be what's their ceiling? It's not a situation of will they make the playoffs. It's going to be a situation of how far will they get. And I think that's an important thing as well.
Yeah. All right. With the trade, the Sacramento Kings are the 5th pick. They could move back even more, but they're going to be content with this pick and picking up Jeremy Grant. They also picked up Hamidou Diallo in this trade, correct?
Yes. We forgot to say that previously, but yes, they would get Hammy.
Forgot to mention that. So add even more filler in there going to.
It's not filler. He's great, but it's all right.
So with that being the case, I don't think as the Sacramento Kings here, we select Shaedon Sharpe with the number 5 pick, and I think a lot of people will look at Keegan Murray for the Sacramento pick in general, but with this trade in mind, and you get Jeremy Grant, there's no need to draft Keegan Murray at this point. So you take the highest upside prospect in Shaedon Sharpe because you don't need a guard, obviously, with Davion Mitchell and De'Aaron Fox. You don't need a forward, and then I'm not going to take a center this high. Obviously, if you're maybe at like 10 or something, maybe they take Duren. But I'm going to take Shaedon Sharpe here, a high upside wing that I think fills a lot of needs for them. There's maybe you could throw Mathurin in there, but I'm going to take Shaedon Sharpe just because I think he's a swing for the fences type guy. And as much as I love De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell and Jeremy Grant, I still think they need that. You need a home run swing still. They're not at the spot where you just have to fill in with role players.
Yeah, and the Kings are kind of in a weird spot, which is why I think they'll also trade down which is why we mentioned it, is just because if you drafted Jaden Ivey, if you drafted Shaedon Sharpe, you're kind of saying, okay, well, De'Aaron Fox isn't the answer, Davion Mitchell isn't the answer, and you kind of had that with Tyrese Halliburton.
I don't look at Shaedon Sharpe as a guard, though. I still look at him as like a 3.
But I just mean in the sense that your draft, yeah, I mean, he would be the best pick out of those, right? I just mean in the sense that you don't want to have a situation where you draft a Tyrese Halliburton, you think that's the backcourt of the future, and then you trade him away. So this is kind of like the pick your poison here. Do you trade down further, or do you try to get a guy that could possibly blossom into the best player in this draft?
Yeah. All right, sixth pick after that wild trade. The
Wild
Indiana
trade.
Pacers. The Indiana Pacers. I'm back on the clock here, and for me, if you're the Pacers, this is just beautiful. You get Benedict Mathurin, and Benedict Mathurin with this pick, I think solves a lot of their problems. Not saying that solves all of the problems, but he solves a good amount of them. Uh, when you look at the backcourt, Malcolm Brogdon, Tyrese Halliburton, there's a lot of uncertainty outside of those two. And I think when you add Mathurin, it at least gives you scoring upside and a scoring punch that they didn't really have before. You saw TJ Warren have flashes of that. You saw Miles Turner, have some good games at the 5. But I think you get Mathurin and you're like, okay, now we can trade Buddy Hield. We have some flexibility here, and I think that's a big deal for them. So I like Benedict Mathurin with the number 6 pick to the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, I love that pick. You forgot to mention Buddy Hield as well. I think that he's just
Yeah.
an instant plug and play. You just replace him, and then boom, there you already have defense, and you still have the shooting to go along with that. So I think that's a great pick, especially like you said. There's question marks with Miles Turner still being on the team next year. So it kind of gives you that rebuild-esque feel to it without losing any of the scoring punch.
Yeah. All right, number 7, the Portland Trailblazers.
Number 7, the Portland Trailblazers are going to select Keegan Murray out of Iowa. I think Keegan is a do-it-all, Swiss Army knife type player, and I think that a lot of guys want to have a lot of people want to have them have a point guard here. So Dyson Daniels, I guess, is what you draft, but I just think that Keegan would be falling to this spot more so than he would be just being here, and I think that just because of his overall skill set, that this is going to do well for Damian Lillard trying to get to the playoffs, especially since their power forward right now is Josh Hart, basically, if you want to call it that.
Justice Winslow.
Yeah, Justice Winslow. Yeah, I mean,
Joe
that's not
Ingles,
great.
maybe.
Yeah, that's not great. So Keegan Murray adds a whole different dynamic to that team when you add him, and I think that this is going to be the right pick for them.
Yeah, I saw a lot of my mocks didn't really know what to do with this pick. The number 7 pick, it's like, do you draft Shaden Sharp? Do you draft Dyson Daniels, Ben Mathurin, AJ Griffin? There's a lot of names here. I would probably take Keegan Murray just because I think, if nothing else, the value of getting him at 7 is really good. And he gives you some versatility on your offense. He gives you a pick and pop threat with Dame, someone who can score in a lot of different areas on the court. I like Keegan Murray to the Trailblazers. And he's older, right? He's a little bit older to where he's a little bit more of a finished product, and you know what you're going to get. And the Trailblazers are not in a spot where they're looking to completely overhaul their rebuild. So
Right.
I like it. All right, the number 8 pick, the New Orleans Pelicans.
You all right?
Yeah, let me just say who we're picking first, and then I'll go through it. The New Orleans Pelicans are selecting AJ Griffin with the number 8 pick. And I have down as top choice Benedict Mathurin. Obviously, he's gone because I picked him with the number 6 pick.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I had him as the top pick, but second choice was to trade. And I actually texted you. I said the number 8 pick's on the block.
Yeah.
But then I kept looking. I kept researching, and I said, you know what? This is perfect. New Orleans was 27th in 3-point percentage last year. They already have CJ McCollum. They already have Brandon Ingram as creators, but those guys aren't, 3-point shooters. They're a little bit more of mid-range guys, get to the rim guys, get the free throw line guys that can also create for others. And I think they need backcourt shooting desperately. Like they have those wings. They have like Trey Murphy. You have Herb Jones now. Those are like your 6'8" guys. So I didn't want to add another 6'8" guy in that mix that can defend. I wanted to add an offensive player, and I think AJ Griffin gives you that. I think he's actually a pretty high upside pick for the Pelicans team that obviously got this draft pick from the Anthony Davis trade. So it's not even like, it's kind of just like found money. So in this scenario, so I like AJ Griffin to the Pelicans a lot. I don't know about you.
No, yeah, I mean, I had him 6th on my big board. I think he's one of the highest upside players in this draft. It's just that question of his injuries, and then also the fact that he was behind all those Duke guys. He kind of was overshadowed a bit. But I completely agree with this, and it's not like he can't develop a new defender. I mean, he has that athleticism that'll hopefully come back, and he's young. And with that young Pelicans team, you hope that he can turn into something. But yeah, he's a lights out shooter. I think that's a great pick for them.
Yeah, and I was looking for a point guard, but as you know, I'm not high on Dyson Daniels. I actually think
Yeah.
Dyson Daniels is a decent pick here.
Yeah.
I just thought about it momentarily, and then I saw that they were like 26 and 3-point attempts and 27th and 2-point percentage. And I was like, this team needs some shooters. Like if CJ McCollum's going to run the one, at least put some shooting around him to a degree. And it was
Yeah.
just a weird roster. So that's the number. That's the Pelicans at number 8. Number 9, the San Antonio Spurs. Colin, don't
So
mess this up.
yeah, so I'm picking for Bruni's home team here. This is a tough pick because you're
It
kind of in
is.
the part of the draft where you don't have a point guard at all, unless you like Dyson Daniels, and then you have defenders, unless you want Johnny Davis, and I don't think Johnny Davis is a good fit for this team. So I actually had Benedict Mathurin as my number 1 pick for them if he fell,
I would love
but he didn't fall. So I have Jeremy Sohan for the San Antonio Spurs. Now, you know that what does that add? It adds defense. No shooting like they desperately need, but that Zach Collins as your starting power forward is a glaring issue. I think that as the Spurs always have, they need to embrace defense, and then hopefully you find a shooter later or develop it in Jeremy Sohan. So, I mean, you might be seeing some 78 games or something like that, but I think Sohan at this pick is the right pick.
I like it because Zach Collins. I mean, like you said, he's the only true 4 they have, but he was hurt for a lot of last year, so they played Keldon Johnson, at the 4. They played Devin Vassell in the front court a lot. Doug McDermott played a lot of the 4 as well. So you have all these guys, and you don't want Keldon Johnson. At least I don't want Keldon Johnson playing a lot of the 4. So I like the Jeremy Sohan pick. With that being said, I'm I don't know if the draft does go this way. I don't love it for the Spurs. I think if you're the Spurs, you want either Mathurin to fall to you or Shaden Sharp to fall to you. Those are the players in that
Yeah.
7 to 9 range.
Yeah, ideally
And
you'd like
so
a guard or a guy that can give you some scoring, right? You don't want a
yeah,
one-dimensional, like a
yeah,
only defensive player.
especially after trading Derek White, and you're probably going to lose Lonnie Walker this summer. It's just an interesting situation here. But at the same time, I don't know. You have DeJounte Murray, who's a ball dominant point guard, so it's kind of just like, well, how do you piece it around him? And I
Right.
think maybe the route of just adding defensive players is not a bad route at all. All right, number 10, the Washington Wizards. Let's see who I have here. Okay, with the number 10 pick, the Washington Wizards select Johnny Davis,
Mm.
and for me, this covers both avenues that the Wizards could go. They either re-sign Bradley Beal, right? And you look to build around him. Maybe you draft a center, one of the centers, if you're keeping Bradley Beal. But I think Johnny Davis gives you that backcourt depth that they need, that they don't have at all. A secondary creator of sorts. And then if Bradley Beal doesn't re-sign him, then you have a 2 guard now, for your rebuild. So I think it checks off both boxes to me. I think John Davis is the right pick here because of what he can do on both ends of the court. So that's the pick.
Yeah, I love Johnny Davis, as you know. And yeah, especially with the whole Bradley Beal situation, the team around them is kind of young. You got Denny Avdia, Cassius Winston, I guess, if he's going to be your starting point guard. You don't really have guys that are in the timeline of Bradley Beal. So, yeah, I agree with that pick.
Yeah, I don't even know who their starting point guard is at this point. I don't. It's not going to be Cassius Winston.
I know. I was just
But
seeing that as their point guards. It wasn't
yeah,
Neto,
no, I know what
maybe.
you're saying.
Yeah.
That, yeah. I mean, KCP, Brad Beal will start. Avdia, Kuzma, Porzingis, something like that combination. I would be probably starting lineup. But yeah, I'll take Johnny Davis as the pick. All right, number 11, New York Knicks.
Number 11, the New York Knicks select a center, and all of them are available. So we're going to select Jalen Duren out of Memphis University. He is an absolute beast, super young and not that raw. There's a lot I like about Jalen Duren, and I think that really when you look at the Knicks, that's the only player they need right now, and that isn't a young talent. And Mitchell Robinson, who's probably going to leave, and Nerlens Noel, who's always injured. I think that is going to be the best pick for them at 11.
Interesting. when preparing for this draft, obviously I looked at my 14 teams first, so I didn't get to look at the Knicks as much. So thinking about this, I like it on paper. Jalen Duren at 11 is probably right. It's just I'm looking at the rest of the roster and I'm like, I feel like they need to add more to it, just in general. RJ Barrett, obviously they traded for Cam Reddish last year, which I think was a good pickup, even though he's injured. Emmanuel Quickly, Julius Randle. I'm not sure. It's an interesting pick. It's an interesting situation to be in. Honestly, I don't know if there's like a right or wrong answer at this point. I know some mock drafts have Jalen Duren. Multiple ones do. I'm just have them pulled up right now as I'm looking at them. So yeah, I like the pick. Good pick.
Hey,
12
thanks.
Oklahoma City Thunder. You're welcome. 12 Oklahoma City Thunder. Ooh, the top choice is gone. I'm gonna go Tari Eason at number 12. My top choice was Jeremy Sohan, but since he is off the board, Tari Eason I think is obviously comparable, right? They're comparable players here, and for me, I wanted to put another great defensive player with Chet Holmgren. I think that was the main thing for me. If you can get Tari Eason and Chet Holmgren as your 4 and 5 of the future, obviously you have like guys like Alexei Pokusevski that will play a big role as well. But you can add another defender of that caliber along with Lou Dort. I mean, you're starting to build a foundation for a team that can start to compete on a night in, night out basis. And it's not going to be a team that, well, we hope SGA makes shots today. You know, I hope
Yeah.
he's feeling good. You're going to actually be able to defend. And I think with Tari Eason, with Chet Holmgren, Oklahoma City can defend at a high level, or at least at a competitive level, I'll say.
Yeah, no, I love that pick because you put a non-creator in a team full of creators, and that's kind of where
Yes.
I feel like Tar Eason needs to be. And his elite skill being defense, I think he fits in perfectly. And then hopefully you hope that offensive creation comes with time, but he can still shoot the ball. Yeah, I love that pick. I was kind of having trouble figuring out where I wanted Tar Eason to go, but that's great. I love that pick.
Awesome. 13, Charlotte Hornets.
So Charlotte Hornets, with the 13th pick, they are going to select Mark Williams with this pick.
Ooh.
They need desperately need a center. I was sitting here looking at their centers. Mason Plumlee, I saw him a lot on the Pistons. He's getting old. He's not gonna be
Not
great.
ready.
No.
Miles Plumlee's not ready.
Then you have Montrezl Harrell. They just don't fit the timeline, right? Your goal is to hope that LaMelo Ball continues to be really good. And you need a guy that you can pair him with. You can't just have a bunch of kind of journeymen with him. So hopefully you can try to contend for the playoffs in the East with Gordon Hayward and LaMelo Ball. But you're not going to do it without a center, and I think that this is a very important position for them.
And Montrezl Harrell just got in some legal trouble, so
I didn't even know that.
Even more reason.
All
right, there you go. Charlotte Hornets select Mark Williams. I think it's a good pick. I think it's a logical pick. Like I said, I didn't do the homework on the Charlotte Hornets here, but looking at their roster, it makes sense because LaMelo has the ball in his hands so much. No pun intended. He has the ball in his hands so much that I don't know if a Ty Washington or like another off guard would make a ton of sense. And so I like the pick of a center here. I think one of those two picks that the Hornets have had to be a center.
Yeah.
Pretty comfortably. All right. Number 14, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Malachi Branham from Ohio State. So there you go. Obviously, the Cavs have, in theory, their backcourt and Darius Garland, but what we've heard from Colin Sexton might be on the move. That changes things to me a bit. And then also, I think he can play a little bit of the three, right, in the right situation. So he's either a 2 or a 3. He's a wing, and I think they need more wings, pretty simply put, because there was a lot of times last year where they were playing 3 centers at the same time. Jared Allen, Lauri Markkanen, Evan Mobley were all on the court at the same time. I'm like, that's enough of that. No more.
Stop this.
No more centers. All right. We will be playing Malachi Branham as like a Caris LeVert light early in his career. And so there you go. I like Darius Garland. I like Malachi Branham as a kind of 1-2 punch. And I honestly just really like this Cavaliers team. I think adding him to this team, not having him do too much early in his career, I think it's the perfect
Plus,
situation.
they just made the playoffs. If you count the play-in as the playoffs, so
I do.
all right, just
No,
wasn't sure.
I should.
Some
I
people
should.
don't. So
I
yeah,
shouldn't, but I did. Spurs made the playoffs last year. There you go. That's
yeah,
my account.
that's what I was waiting for.
All right.
15.
15. The Charlotte Hornets again.
Charlotte
Colin,
Hornets again. This is where the
who's taking?
infamous Dyson Daniels gets picked up. I think that he is not ready to be a point guard. Whatever everyone wants to call him, he's not ready. But I think that in the right situation, he can be made ready. And let's be honest, LaMelo Ball needs the ball in his hands. He's going to have the ball in his hands, and it allows Dyson Daniels to kind of work off of that. So instead of having a LaMelo Ball and whatever else backcourt, a Terry Rozier, if you want to call it that, you now have Dyson Daniels sliding into that too and hoping that he fits.
Wow. Dyson
Wow.
Daniels off the board at 15.
The slip had to stop somewhere. The slip had to stop somewhere.
He just kept falling.
Yeah.
I was like, I told you before the show, I was like, I'm not picking him, but I know you'll pick him. So there you go.
What's funny
I
is
actually like the pick. I
what's
like the
funny
pick a
is
lot
sorry.
because they need defense. They need defense, and if nothing else, that kind of gives you a cover for LaMelo in a lot of situations where he can guard the other team's 1s and 2s or 3s, whoever the best player is. And you already got Mark Williams there, so that's pretty much 2 defenders you add to this team that couldn't play defense last year. No offense to Miles Bridges and PJ Washington and Gordon Hayward, but and LaMelo Ball, but they couldn't play defense last year. So Dyson Daniels will at the very least give them that and some playmaking on top of it. So I like the pick.
What's funny about Dyson Daniels is I never had him as a number 1 option for any team. So he's always the third.
So disrespectful.
Sorry.
All right, let me cross him off my list real quick. Or let me go down. All right.
Let me go down.
16, the Atlanta Hawks. Oh, I thought this was a situation where all 3 of my options were going to be gone, but they're not. And I'll tell you why. Because this man, Jalen Williams from Santa Clara, gone at the number 16 pick, Colin. We know some people call Jalen Williams a guard. Some people call him a wing. I consider him more of a wing at 6'6", and because I don't really want him to be a 2 guard in the NBA. I think he's a fine shooter. I just don't think he's a 2 guard level shooter. They're probably, let's say John Collins is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even if he stays, they need someone that is a little more polished because this is a team that's 2 years removed from making the Eastern Conference Finals and wants to get back to that level. So to me, when I was looking at it, I didn't think a guy like Blake Wesley was a real viable option here. I didn't think like a Ty Washington, Wendell Moore. Like I didn't think like Marjon Beauchamp. Like I didn't think these guys that I'm not sure about and like maybe more as a project. I didn't think those guys were options. So I took Jalen Williams. He was my 3rd option here. I had Tyree Easton and Jalen Duren above him, but that's still no disrespect. Jalen Williams is going to be a fine NBA player, and I like the Hawks here.
Yeah, I like this pick. As you know, I love Jalen Williams. I think, like you said, it also adds creation aspect to.
Yes.
He can kind of slide in there and kind of play that point forward role if he's required to. And like you said, he's a way more polished in terms of a player than a lot of the draft. The question is like we've talked about before is the competition step up, right? But I like this pick.
Yeah, the creation aspect is another good point that I did not bring up. But yeah, he can definitely help Trae Young playoff ball a little bit more.
Yep.
All right, 17, Houston Rockets again, Colin.
So you mentioned the lack of creation that the Rockets had after they didn't take Paolo instead of taking Jabari. Well, now they're going to take at 17 Ty Washington. Obviously, you and I are both not that high on the point guards in this draft, but I think that if a point guard's going to go anywhere, it has to go Houston, right? I think Ty Washington fits in perfect because he's not going to be able to score the way he likes to score in the NBA. He doesn't really, just because of his size, right, and his frame. So I think it's going to have be able to take that responsibility off of him because you're going to have Jabari Smith and you're going to have Jalen Green. So I think that this is where they get their point guard.
I like it. I am also laughing at the thought of like Ty Washington. Okay, he has to improve as a creator a good amount, but at the same time, Jalen Green has to improve as a creator as well. Like he has to improve passing the ball to other people, like just in
Well,
general.
the issue
So
the issue with the Rockets, right, is that they're so unpolished. Like DeAndre Hunter, uh, Jalen Green, and then
not
whoever
DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter doesn't play for them.
who who was traded them from was DeAndre Hunter was on that team at one point, wasn't he?
No, he was for the Hawks. He plays for the Hawks.
Oh, I'm tripping.
But no, they just don't. You add Jabari Smith to that team, and you just keep adding scores. And I think this is a spot where like Dyson Daniels would have been interesting. Obviously, there's no chance he falls to 17 in the real game or in the real draft.
Sorry,
But go ahead.
Kevin Porter Jr. I always got them confused. So Kevin Porter Jr. is like unpolished. You have Christian Wood, who despite being a pretty good player, again, not
And then
really
was
a
traded for the
defender.
Mavericks.
Yeah, what I'm saying, like from last year, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what you have instilled in the team, and then you have aging guys like Eric Gordon. So I think that this is where you like. I know you call him a combo guard, but uh, he's more of a one than Jalen Green is, and Jalen Green's going to have the ball more in his hands probably, anyways, right? So it gives him a chance to learn. And he's the only point guard, if you want to, only one of 2 point guards that you can kind of take in the top 20. So I think this is where you got to get him, unless you plan on making some kind of trade.
It's interesting. I don't know. I don't know who I would want the Rockets to take here. I think Ty is probably the best pick because other than him, I don't. I mean, they need so much.
Yeah.
They just don't have anything really on, on this team. So yeah, I'm fine with that pick. I think it's a good pick. I don't trust any of the point guards here, anyways. So all right, 18 Chicago Bulls. We have now hit a spot where all three of the my top choices, are off the board. So let me look at
Okay.
who I have down here. All right, I think this is where we're gonna go here. We have to adjust on the fly
We
in
have
the draft.
to adjust on the fly.
18 Chicago Bulls select Jaden Hardy from G League Ignite. Zach Levine's future is up in the air. I think there's a chance he doesn't come back, and if that is the case, they need a two guard. You need someone that can create his own shot, and I think Jaden Hardy checks that box. And then also, even if he comes back, I think we saw the scoring versatility of the Chicago Bulls was extremely limited once you got past DeMar DeRozan and Zach Levine. And I think bringing him in off the bench as a guy who similar to Kobe White, but maybe a little bit more potent in some ways. I think it's just an interesting addition there. I think they just need more scorers on this team that don't shoot mid-range jumpers for a living. So
DeMar.
I didn't say that. But yeah, Jaden Hardy is going to be my pick at 18. I think it's an interesting pick.
I think it's hard to pick for the Bulls here because they need so much, but they made the playoffs still. It's just it's kind of like a shambled together team. And I guess Jaden Hardy would be the right pick here because you don't really
And you
want a
want to
young
get
guy.
someone that can contribute immediately.
Right. I was going to say,
too,
you don't want a
obviously.
guy like Blake. You don't want a guy like Dang. And then further down, Kennedy Chandler, guys like that. So,
yeah. So there you go. All right, 19.
At 19, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves selecting Usman Dang from the New Zealand Breakers. I had the first two guys on my board. I had Jalen Williams first, and then I had Jaden Hardy. I couldn't really, think of anyone else there just because, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves confuse me a lot of the time, and I feel like it's just like how do you pick for a team that has Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, who just likes to shoot. You have Anthony Edwards. It's tough. So I think that you're going to replace they don't really have wings, right? They don't really have a small forward or power forward. And I think that he can slide in there at 6'10", play either position if he gets his weight up. And then he's not going to be asked to do a lot. We talk about him being the guy that has a lot of upside, but no real NBA skill. So I think this gives him a chance to develop those skills and hopefully crack the roster.
I like it. But I mean, obviously we're getting to the point of the draft where teams want less upside and more production. Not saying that Usman Deng didn't produce in his own right. I mean, obviously he did. It's just interesting. I'm not sure exactly where the Wolves could have gone here, but I like the pick. I like the pick. I mean, I'm thinking like maybe they could have gone like to
I thought of like Agbaji or something like that. But I
Igbaji,
don't know.
yeah.
I feel like you need a guy that you can trust on defense and is bigger. You know,
Yeah. All right. 20, San Antonio Spurs.
make up for my pick that you
I
love
finally
so
get a
much.
pick. I finally get a pick here. And I love this pick. I love this pick so much. With the 20th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Blake Wesley.
I knew
And
I knew you were gonna do that.
for me, obviously this depended on who the Spurs took earlier in the draft. And they took Jeremy Sohan. And so with that being the pick, I think they needed backcourt production. I think they needed to be very aggressive in that. There was no thought for me to take like a guy like Wendell Moore. Um, I had Ty Washington on this list as well. But overall, I think Blake Wesley was always the guy that I really wanted here because he is kind of that swing for the fence type players. And I think the Spurs need that still. Even though DeJounte Murray's an all-star, yeah. Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell are really good, yeah. They need that guy that's going to be the next
Guy.
the next guy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they took Josh Primo last year, also a swing for the fence type player. And maybe he's going to be really good, but you add Blake Wesley to that, you're just giving yourself more chances at a productive two guard. And I really like that for the Spurs.
Yep. I agree. I completely love that pick.
All right. 21.
20
The Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, 21. The Denver Nuggets select Kennedy Chandler out of Tennessee. I had my top three kind of go out of here, so I put 4 players down for this because they're all creators. With Jamal Murray's health kind of in a question and them not really having a backup point guard, unless you want to call Monty Morris a point guard, I think you just need to have a guy that you can kind of plug and play and just run. And I think it bodes well with a team that has high flyer like Aaron Gordon, a guy that can pass, who can basically be your point center and Jokic. And then, if Michael Porter Jr. plays, you have a good guy there. So I think that it's better to kind of have insurance in case you don't really have that backup guard. And there's not really a lot of guys out here right now that can contribute at a high level right away, especially with the aspirations that the Nuggets have.
Let me cross him off my list. No, I think it's a reasonable pick. I mean, my qualms with Kennedy Chandler. I will say it'll make life a lot easier playing, with Nikola Jokic, or if he's with the second unit, if he's with Jamal Murray. I mean, it is easier. He's gonna have to shoot the ball really, really well, and I think he's capable of that. But we've seen a lot of point guards not very. We've seen a lot of talent. We've seen a lot of guards like a Facundo Campazzo or Monty Morris. Bones Highland has done well for them as a young player. Brent Forbes has come in there. Austin Rivers. You go down the list of these guards that are just like, okay, who's next? I mean, why not Kennedy Chandler? Throw Kennedy Chandler in there. I'm sure he could be fine. I don't love Kennedy Chandler, but there you go. All right, 22. Memphis Grizzlies. My top choice here was Dyson Daniels, but
At 22, that's funny.
The Memphis Grizzlies select Wendell Moore here. Tyus Jones is a free agent, and I know that a lot of people will throw around different guards in here to replace him. I saw Blake Wesley as a name they threw in here. Just because I think they need more creators when Ja's not on the court. I think Wendell Moore, while he's not the best creator in the world, I think he's just a solid player. And I think Memphis needs solid players. Like they already have the second best record in the NBA. You had Wendell Moore as a depth piece. I love it. I like that proposition quite a bit.
Yeah, I like that pick. I probably wouldn't have had him this early, I guess, 22. But yeah, I mean, you're getting to the point where you don't have a lot of guys that you'd like to swing for the fences for, if that's what you want to call it, or that you want to have as a prospect. So I like that pick.
Yeah, I think if you just get to the spot and you can take a guy who I don't want to say but you believe can be have a pretty high floor.
Yeah,
I think that you most of the time take it.
Yep, I agree.
All right, 23, Philadelphia 76ers.
23. This guy actually isn't on my top 3 because I didn't think he'd still be here. But Ochai Agbaji is going to be the pick for the Philadelphia 76ers. I think he fits in perfectly just because you have Danny Green, who just destroyed his knee, and you need a guy that can come in and literally do exactly what Danny Green did. And Obviously, he's not going to be the defender that Danny Green was, but he can shoot. And for a team that time and time again keeps getting embarrassed in the playoffs, I think it's time to continue getting more shooters.
And time to get a winner. National champion.
And to get a winner. Wow.
Someone who knows a thing or two about winning.
Yes.
Like Danny Green doesn't know anything about winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Championships.
That's
Yeah, Ochai Agbaji, man. Danny Green light.
Danny Green light.
I like it. All right, let's move on. Let's go right on. That's a good pick. I can't believe you thought he was going to be gone at this point because you knew I'm not high on him.
I know, but I just thought that maybe you'd be like, I gotta take him. You know, like I thought you'd be like, you know what, team really needs shooting. No, but I guess not. Sorry.
No.
Give you too much credit.
Thanks for taking him though, so I don't have to. 24, the Milwaukee Bucks. This is tough.
Mm-hmm.
With the 24th pick, the Milwaukee Bucks select Dalen Terry from Arizona. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, they're going to draft Walker Kessler in real life. Yeah, okay, maybe. But on one hand, the only reason Brook Lopez is playable is because he can shoot the ball, right? Whereas Walker Kessler at this moment is nowhere near the three-point shooter that Brook Lopez is. He will.
And he's a traffic cone, so
we're gonna be lucky if Walker Kessler comes in the league and shoot like 25% from three. And that's not gonna get him on the court. So when Brook Lopez wasn't on the court, who did they put next to Giannis? Bobby Portis, right? They put more versatile guys around him. And I just don't think if you can't shoot the ball, you're not gonna play for Mike Budenholzer. Like, right? Like at the especially, at the 5.
Yeah,
is going to be a position where they're just going to throw Giannis at the 5.
Right.
And
especially
so because
if you have
of that,
to clear out the lane for him as well.
Exactly. So because of that, you go get perimeter defenders, wing guys that can kind of fill in spaces around them. Maybe I had Jaden Hardy on here as well. Wasn't sure he was going to go this high. I think Jaden Hardy would be a really interesting pick for them just to add some more backcourt pieces since they always seem to get injured for the Bucks. But yeah, I think Dalen Terry here, interesting 3-and-D prospect. And I think just adds to their defensive acumen.
Yep. I like that pick.
I just heard so much talk about Walker Kessler, and then I was like, okay, but let's actually think about this.
That's true. No, you're right. You're completely right.
Actually
Plus,
works.
do they really want to be the Jazz of the East? Let's be honest. Anyways.
There you go. All right, 25.
You're San Antonio Spurs. You already got a shooting guard, so that's gone. But it opens up a guy that I really, really like in this draft. At 25, the San Antonio Spurs select Trevor Keels from Duke. I love this guy. I think he's although he's gonna be playing like a Lou Dort type role, he has a experience with the ball in his hands. He basically played point guard for them last year, and he can defend at the ball really well. And not only that, he's super young. He's gonna be 18 still at draft time, and he can shoot. So I think that this is a project player that you can kind of throw behind, I guess, if you want to use him as that creator role behind DeJounte, or you can even just keep him as a wing player that is able to create. And so I like this pick here. I had originally Marjon Beauchamp or Walker Kessler, but after hearing Walker Kessler's name again, and then you already drafting Jaden Hardy, I think I have to go with Trevor Keels.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what the Spurs would do in this situation. I'm cool with Trevor Keels' pick. Yeah, I don't have too much to add to it. I think it would be a fine pick. I don't know if I would like Walker Kessler with the Spurs unless if they think Jakob Poeltl could be entering the last year of his contract, so maybe he could be gone. So you add Walker Kessler, but I don't think Walker Kessler is an option. He's not going to be your starting center of the next 10 years,
Right.
So I wouldn't love that pick. And then who's the other player you said? Marjon Beauchamp?
Yeah, I had him, but you already took Jaden Hardy.
What do they have to do with each other?
I just feel like they're both. I wouldn't draft one
they're
if
two
I
Ignite guys.
Yeah. That's what did it.
You wouldn't draft 2 Ignite guys. I got you, Colin. I got you.
Oh yeah,
I got you. I respect that. All right, interesting pick there. I have him at 38 on my big board, but
I loved him when I watched him. I was like, I like this guy so much.
What do you have him on your big board?
25.
So it's perfect. That's perfect. Then.
Yeah, it's like a match made in heaven, dude. Amazing.
All right, let me cross him off my list real quick.
Because you were gonna draft him, huh?
I was not going to draft Trevor Keels. That was not in the plans. Here we go. 26. The Houston Rockets again. All right.
Why are you
I'm
laughing?
taking Houston Rockets are taking Kendall Brown from Baylor.
Oh my goodness.
I'm done with all of this. These
Oh
shooters.
my
I'm done with all of these
goodness.
guys that don't pass, don't defend, don't do anything. I'm taking Jabari Smith defends, but you get what I'm saying. I'm taking Kendall Brown. We're gonna get a defensive athlete
Instead of an
to throw in the
offensive athlete.
postseason.
I got you.
Yeah,
I
instead of an
like that.
offensive athlete.
I
There you
like
go.
that, you
We're
know?
gonna get a defensive athlete here
Mm.
to add to this team. Someone who will actually play some defense at a decently high level. Might not be able to shoot, but I think he is a high upside player though, not for nothing. Like I think if the 3-point shot comes around, I think there is some upside here.
Yeah, that's if the 3-point shot comes around. But I don't think you can let Kendall Brown fall too far just because of his. Just you see him jump off the page, and you have to take him, right? Especially if this is your third pick, first round.
Yeah, and you've taken who was the second pick?
I don't know. You picked
Tata
him.
Washington.
There you go.
Tata Washington. All right, 27. The Miami Heat.
I really love this pick actually. With the 27th pick in the NBA draft, the Miami Heat select EJ Liddell from Ohio State. This is a do-it-all guy. I think he slides right in there at power forward. Maybe can play some small ball center. He's a big dude. He can pass. He can shoot a little. He's like a Swiss Army knife light just because of his kind of bad shooting. But I think that this is a team that would embody the culture that I think EJ represents, and he'll fit in perfect there.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think that he's a more polished player. And I use that word polished a lot when it comes to players over 21 years old. I know that, but I just think that it makes a lot of sense. And I think that his improvements defensively were the biggest thing, right? That's why he
Yeah,
went back to school, and we knew he could score, but then he added a little bit more on his 3-pointer. He defended a lot better, and because of
lost some
that, I
weight.
think he lost some weight. That's always good. You always like people losing weight, and there you go. EJ Liddell fits right in there.
Yeah,
He, I hope they don't have to cut Udonis Haslam for him though. Really hope
yeah,
they
man,
keep
that would
Udonis
just be an
Haslam around.
absolute just wow.
He would, fans would hate him at that point. But
Yeah.
anyways, all right. There's EJ Liddell. This one for me is the hardest pick in all the entire draft. The Golden State Warriors. There's a lot of players I could go here. Well, there's 3 actually. With the 28th pick in the 2022 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Christian Brown from
I love
Kansas.
that pick. I love that pick.
He was 5th on my list initially, but I just, as the more I think about it, the more it just makes sense. I mean,
If he's gonna succeed
Clay,
anywhere, it'd be there.
I mean, yeah, like this is a dude who, yeah, he's not the best defender, but he can defend. He can't create for himself at all, really, but that's okay. You don't have to create for yourself on this team. And we've seen guys step in, like Moses Moody played a bit last year. I think Christian Brown is more refined than Moses Moody was coming out of college. Same thing with Jonathan Kuminga. Obviously, both those guys have higher upsides, I think. But at the 28th pick, you tell me you can get a guy that can shoot 40% from 3 and is pretty athletic. I'm taking Christian Brown here. I had other names on here like Christian Coloco because if they wanted like a defensive 4-man, and Marjan Beauchamp with the 3-and-D potential there. But I'm going to take Christian Brown.
I love that pick. I love that pick.
Thank you.
That's so good. Just think, instead of Steph and Clay, it's going to be Jordan Poole and Christian Brown. Wow.
I'll think about that.
The future. All right. With the 29th pick in the NBA draft, this is my hardest pick. The Memphis Grizzlies select David Roddy. Listen, man, this is my player's last chance to get in the first round. I couldn't go with a guy like project guys. I couldn't go with Marjan Beauchamp. I couldn't go with Bryce McGowan's or Nikola Jovic. I think that you have to get the guy that's, I guess, most polished, and you just got to hope that his body, I guess, turns him into a Zach Randolph. So there you go. I
Yeah.
mean, that's literally the only reason why I picked him, just because he already can do everything. It's just will he be able to withstand, the rigors of the NBA, and make sure that he can still do what he did in college. And obviously he's not going to be asked to score 19 a game, but he's at least a plus in a lot of areas.
It's a good pick. I'm thinking about my next pick, honestly. If I'm being completely honest with you, I am tearing my hair out over who I'm going to pick for this last pick of the
These
first round.
you
But
better give the Nuggets the best option. And if it's Nikola Jovic, I swear.
I'm 4 players are just juggling in my mind right now. 30th pick, the Denver Nuggets. With the 30th pick, the Denver Nuggets select Justin Lewis from Marquette.
Wow.
Check that one off your bingo card.
Wow.
6'7", 17 points per game, 44% from the field, 35% from three, 7'2" wingspan, awesome athlete. Shot 36% on catch and shoot threes last year. I anticipate that being replicated at the NBA level. Really good defender when he's engaged. I mean, if Michael Porter Jr. is going to have these back problems, throw Justin Lewis in there. Really, if he can play the three the way I think he can, this is a kind of a home run swing. Don't get me wrong. I had Marjon Beauchamp staring at me in the eyes, telling me, pick me, but I picked Justin Lewis because I think it's a bigger home run swing. I think that's what the Nuggets would do here. I thought about Nikola Jovic. I thought about that. And I also thought about Jake LaRavia, who was actually my top choice here going into the draft. I did not expect Marjon Beauchamp being there or Justin Justin Lewis. I'm sorry, Justin Lewis being there. Sorry, all the names are just scrambled in my head at this point. But there you go, 30th pick, Justin Lewis. It's gonna be interesting. So
a couple things stand out here. Marjon Beauchamp didn't get drafted. We have guys like EJ Liddell, Christian Brown, David Roddy, Justin Lewis going above a lot of guys that might have gone. I mean, even Walker Kessler didn't even go.
yeah.
Dyson Daniels dropped to 15. What else do we have? That's
drama.
That's
the
crazy.
Drama.
That's crazy.
Ochai Agbaji. Where did Ochai Agbaji go?
23. Dalen Terry at 24. Trevor Keels at 25. Lots of, but overall, I think it's a pretty solid draft. I'm looking at it right now. Benedict Mathurin over Keegan Murray. That's honestly kind of big. And then we have the single trade, Jaden Ivey to the Pistons.
The trade.
Yeah.
There you go.
What a good draft.
I thought it was a really good draft. I mean, I'm a little biased, but yeah, I think it all just makes sense in a lot of ways. I'll tell you what, the big winner here, if this is how it goes, I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are the winners here. If they get Eason or Sohan with that 12th pick, I don't think Sohan will fall to them. But if they got Eason then, and you can add a defender next, like think about that defensive lineup here. Even if Dort, Eason, and Holmgren all in the court at the same time.
Even if you did get Sohan, like if he did fall, that would just be even crazier because Sohan can kind of pass. So like you said, either of those two guys, that's yeah. I mean that's your core, right? You have your core for the future. I think another big winner here would also be the Spurs, just because you guys have so many like players that can just blossom. I mean, you guys already proven that you can make the playoffs, right? We don't know what Jeremy Sohan can turn into. Can he develop his pick and roll game? Can he get that shot? We already know he's a defender. Blake Wesley, could he be the all-star of the future? Trevor Keels, listen, man, I'm high on him. He can be whatever he wants to be in the NBA.
Yeah, you are higher on Trevor Keels than I am. I'll give you that. But I don't hate the pick because I don't look at anybody that's below him and be like, oh, this, you should.
Yeah, I'd much rather take this player. Yeah,
I'm just like, all right, I could see it. Like, I'm not mad at it or anything. But yeah, if the Spurs got Blake Wesley and Jeremy Sohan in the draft,
yeah,
polish the rings, boys. Polish the rings. Look at us. Look at that.
The champs. The champs.
You can't even see him over here. Look at that. There's Tim and David.
Tim and David.
Yes, autographed. All right, let's do a non-Spurs winner here. I think the Pistons, you know,
But that's an easy. I feel like that's an easy. They can win regardless of if they get Jaden Ivey or not. I
right.
feel like those top five are just
Yeah,
like
that's tough
if
enough to
any
win.
of them fall, right? If even if you get Shaden Sharp, if you consider him the fifth best prospect in this draft, the upside on that is so high that you're it's worth taking that chance. I do think that if I just had it. I also like the Hornets. I think the Hornets win this as well. Dyson Daniels, although we're not as high as him, he's doing something right to be so high. So if he falls to 15, and then Mark Williams. So you instantly get
Yeah.
2+ defenders, and then that can also develop something. Mark Williams obviously can already score in terms of lob threat and just scoring from the dunker spot. And then Dyson Daniels, can he develop into that point guard that everyone thinks he can? So
If you had the 31st pick, Indiana Pacers, who would you take?
oh man, who do I have left on my list? Let's see. Oh, that's tough, actually. It's like at the bottom of this, I was just like, man.
Honestly, I would take Nikola
Denver
Jovic.
Nuggets? Denver Nuggets?
No, not the Nuggets. The Pacers.
Pacers, I'm sorry, Pacers.
I take
Jovic?
Jovic. I take Jovic. I just need an upside play here.
You know what? I'm going to do it. Miles Turner is going to be gone. They're taking Walker Kessler.
All right. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Spurs at 38.
That's where you take a Nikola Jovic.
That's where Jovic will be gone way before that.
Yeah, way before that.
Give me 38. Baldwin will be gone.
Willie?
McGowan will probably be gone.
I don't know if Patrick Baldwin will be gone.
God, I really don't.
You could do like a Koloko.
I would love Koloko.
Koloko.
I would love that, actually.
You could do.
So, there you go. Kenneth Lofton Jr.?
No, send him to New Orleans. Send him to New Orleans.
Kenneth Lofton down to New Orleans. He goes from Ruston to New Orleans.
Quick drive. Hop and a skip.
There you go. All right. Anything else, Colin? Anybody else? Obviously, like you said, the guys we did not draft: Marjon Beauchamp, Walker Kessler, Bryce McGowan, Jake LaRavia, Christian Koloko, Patrick Baldwin Jr., Nikola Jovic, Andrew Nimhard, just to name a few.
What an awful name that is, by the way.
Which one?
Nemhard.
Andrew Nimhard. I like Andrew Nimhard too. I had him above Kenny Chandler on my board. So there you go.
Wow.
But yeah, that's all we got. That's it. There's the mock draft. We will be back on Thursday
for the real draft.
For the real draft, reactions on every single pick from the first round will be up on our YouTube after the fact. So be sure to check that out. We pride ourselves on being the first YouTubers to post after the draft. Nobody will be quicker than us. I promise you that. All right. We will be up till 3 a.m. if we have to. But yeah, check that out. We appreciate all the support. We hope you enjoyed this long video. But yeah, thank y'all for joining us, and we'll talk to y'all later.